on a laptop. So if we want somebody to be able to access work, whether it's completing coursework or whatever it is, they can do that using this eye tracker. We also actually sell a solution that's based around a Microsoft Surface tablet, and this can actually be mounted onto wheelchairs or floor stands. So if we need something that could be positioned a little bit more flexibly, then that can work there. Then we move on to our kind of more purpose-built eye gaze devices. So this one is called the iSeries, and I'm going to talk a bit about some of the software that's included in here. So it's got some really neat features. But this is a Windows-based eye gaze device that can support communication and computer access alike. As I said, I'm going to mention a couple of really cool features within this that allows us to do things like access the internet and telephone access as well. We then have, this is called the TD Pilot. So this is, again, a purpose-built eye gaze device, but this is built around iOS. So this is built around an iPad Pro 12, I believe. And so this has very similar features to our Windows offering, but obviously is based all around iOS. So the idea here is that we're providing people with choice. Depending on what people are wanting to use, they may have a preference of Windows over kind of iPad access. Moving on from eye gaze, we have other multi-access devices. So this is the TDI 110, which can be used as a touch device, but also has switch ports in there. So we can use that with switches. And then just as before, we've got an iPad version as well. So this is called the speech case tablet. So this again offers touch and switch access, but all kind of built around an iPad. So just to kind of set the kind of groundwork there of looking at the hardware that we might use and different access methods that we might want to accommodate. But what I wanted to show a little bit more of today was some of the kind of software solutions of what we can use to support a bit of independence. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is a piece of software called TD Control. I'm just gonna, it's not started yet. So this is available with on our iSeries device and also our PCI eye tracker. So the idea with Control is that it basically allows eye gaze users to access kind of any aspect of their computer. So the idea here is that they can, with their eye gaze, they can access the same kind of mouse and keyboard functions that you and I can on a kind of a more traditional computer. So I'm just going to show a little video here of it in action. I'm going to kind of talk over it. Let's press play. There's no sound on this one, so I am just going to talk over. There we go. So here, hopefully you'll be able to see there's a little circular trace here. And what that's done is, it's gone very quick. Hang on, let me just come back. Okay, so you'll see this circular trace here, which is basically tracking where our eyes are looking. You can see this user's gone over to Google Chrome. When you fix your gaze for X amount of time, and that is adjustable, it's fully adjustable, it will then ask you if this is the area that you want to focus on, and you'll see that by this little dot popping up here. So yeah, that's where I want to look. And then here, what it's going to do is it's going to take that bit that you've looked at and bring it into the center of the screen, and then you can now decide what you want to do with that. So you'll see here what it's done as it's popped up what we call a radial menu with lots of options around it, which allows us to do things like click, left click, right click, scroll, double click, open a keyboard. And here, what this does really nicely is by bringing that into the center is that we know that especially for eye gaze users that the center of the screen is the most accessible part of the screen. So it's really bringing everything to the most kind of accessible part of the screen for us to be able to make accurate selections. So here the user's chosen double click. So it's going to go ahead and open up Chrome for them. Again, they've looked up at the top bar. They're now opening up the keyboard, and they can now use this keyboard with eye gaze to type out whatever it is that they want them to search. So here they're looking for Instagram. They're going to go ahead and click on that, closing that keyboard so that now they can browse Instagram. So here they're going to just fix their eye gaze onto part of the screen so that they can go ahead and choose scroll. And now this person can independently scroll through Instagram and have a look at the different posts. Now they're going to select a post to watch. There we go. I'm going to click on that one. They're going to watch the video. They can come down and they can add comments onto there. So again, they're going to pop up that keyboard. There we go. Now they've commented on Instagram. I'm going to close that out. So hopefully that gives you kind of a good idea of how control works. That was an example using the internet and browsing, but of course, this could be used with lots of different functions within a computer. So to create a PowerPoint, to write coursework, anything really that's accessible on the computer, they would be able to do with this piece of software. So it's really allowing our, our users to be able to be as independent as possible when looking at computer access. So that is called TD Control. What I want to show you next is another piece of software called TD Browse. Now this is exclusive to the iSeries. I'm just going to show you this brief video, but this is basically an internet browser that we have specifically designed for eye gaze users. So where we've just seen TD Browse being used, what this does is takes that and kind of refines it even more, and it can actually use control and browse within conjunction of each other. But I'm just going to play this video so that you can see a little bit of what this looks like. So hopefully that gave you kind of a bit of an idea of how that works. So TD Browse, as I said, is really specifically designed for eye gaze users to access the internet. And so the importance here is again, looking at people independently being able to, search for things on Google, purchase things on Amazon, look at videos on YouTube, whatever it might be. And as you can see, what we've really done is think about the features and how to make that kind of as easy and as accessible as possible. So it's a really great kind of addition to the iSeries, and really thinks about specifically what eye gaze users need in order to be able to access the internet successfully. Next, I want to talk about TD Phone. Now, this is a newer addition. And again, I'll show you a quick video about this, but the whole point of this, again, it's a piece of software exclusive to the iSeries, is about allowing our eye gaze users to be able to independently make phone calls, answer phone calls, send text messages, manage their contacts. Quite often we're having to rely on other people to help us out with that, even, you know, things like writing out messages and stuff. And so it's really important that eye gaze users can do that independently. So again, I'm going to show you a little video.
Hey, how are you?
That smile always gets me. So as you can see, it had a keyboard there that used word, and it also used phrase prediction. So when you're, you know, speaking or texting, it's using those efficient tools to try and make it as engaging and as quick as possible. It's a really, really great tool that allow eye gaze users in particular to be able to independently access their phone. And we know how important it is to be able to do that, especially with things like messaging and, you know, texting. And so it's a really great tool that allows our users to do that. So those are the bits of software that I kind of wanted to talk about, kind of more specific to eye gaze. Next, I want to talk about the Access IT, and I don't know if this is something that anybody has seen before, but I'm going to try my best to explain it. And again, I've got a couple of videos. So it's basically a little dongle that allows you to control another computer with your communication device, basically. So the idea is that, let's say we've got an eye gaze or a switch user and they want to control a different computer, whether it's for writing something, whether it's for, it might be contributing to something on an interactive whiteboard. What you can do is you can basically plug this dongle into the computer that they want to access. And via Bluetooth, it basically sends keystrokes via the TD Snap. You can send keystrokes and mouse moves to another device. So in TD Snap, we have these ready-made pages that basically allow you to do some simple things. But what you can do is either using your message window, you can basically send messages or type text, for example, to another computer using the sharing button. And just to show you a little bit, so if we're wanting to, let's say, control another computer, move the mouse, we've got some preset pages that allow us to do that. So rather than my awful explanation, I'm going to show you a little clip of a video my friend made to explain it in a bit more detail, hopefully.
Snap is powerful yet easy to use. You can even use Snap to control a second computer, or maybe the interactive whiteboards at school.
Hi.
For this, you use special pages in Snap plus the Access It dongle. The Access It allows you to send individual keystrokes, the whole message window, or mouse movement commands to the other computer. Broaden your horizons and control your environment with both infrared environmental control and...
Okay, so there you can see that John used his TD Snap keyboard layout to write a message, and there they were doing kind of the example was collaborative writing with the other members of the class. Wrote out a sentence, and then via the Access IT was able to send it to the classroom computer that then wrote it out. So a really, really neat little tool that's worth thinking about. And the dongle itself is £75, can be purchased via us, but can have, you know, real lots and lots of different ways to use it, really. Okay. Lastly, I want to talk about the Google Assistant. So, as many of us know, like with Alexa and Siri, the Google Assistant has become kind of quite an important part of everybody's lives. I use mine all the time on my phone. It reminds me of appointments and people's birthdays and all that stuff that I'm terrible at remembering. And so what we've actually done in TD Snap is we've embedded the Google Assistant in there, which means that as long as you've got an internet connection, you can do things like, get answers to questions, manage tasks, plan your time. There's all sorts of different ways in which you can use Google Assistant. And of course, when we're thinking about supporting and developing independence, it can be a really, really useful tool. So you can set reminders, don't forget to take your medication. You've got a doctor's appointment at so-and-so time. Switch the lights off before you go to bed or whatever it is. There's all sorts that you can do with the Google Assistant. So, in TD Snap, it's embedded into there, and all you need to do is to basically have a Google account, and you basically log in via TD Snap to your Google account, and once that's synced, you'll then have kind of access wherever you are. When you're using the Google Assistant this way, there's basically what we've done is we've got some kind of preset pages to help you to use it, and I'll show you a bit more about that in a second. So with just an internet connection, you could do all of the kind of really basic things, but with the addition of some simple kind of external hardware like a Google Nest or some smart plugs, we then can expand it to being able to maybe control our environment a little bit more. So being able to switch the lights off ourselves, to be able to play some music that we want to play, to switch the kettle on, no matter what it is that we want to do. So as I said, we've got some preset pages in here. So we've got some we've programmed some of the basic stuff that people want to do, but of course you can customize all of this and create your own commands that meets the needs of the user. There's another really great feature that people like to use is the broadcast feature. So you can, if let's say your kids have got Google Nest Minis in their bedroom and you want to call them down for tea, you can broadcast to those, or if you want to say goodnight to them. There's lots of really, really cool things that you can do in that. For some reason this has all come out of sync. But yeah, just a couple of the kind of different ways that we can use Google Assistant. But I think for me, one of the ones that is most important is being able to develop some of those independent skills, being able to control the environment a bit more. And I think because it's such an easily accessible tool, and even if you were to get some of the kind of external, like the smart plugs or whatever, they're pretty reasonable these days, and they're kind of easily accessible. You can buy stuff from Amazon, and it's fairly easy to find. So I'm just going to again show you a little video of this in action.
Snap is powerful yet easy to use your horizons and control your environment with both infrared environmental control and an incredibly clever built-in Google Assistant implementation. You can ask Google questions either from the message window or from a button.
What's the weather for today?
Today in Huntingdon, it'll be clear with clouds from time to time, with a forecast high of 13 and a low of 4.
Or you can even control smart appliances around your home.
Dining room on.
All right, turning on 2 outlets.
Dining room off.
Got it. Turning 2 outlets off.
There we go. So hopefully that kind of gives you an example of how that can be used. So that was everything that I wanted to go through today. We've got 6 minutes left, so I've done okay. I wanted to leave time for any questions. The other thing that I wanted to kind of highlight before I finish is that if there's anything that you've seen today that you would like to know more about, or would like to see in action, please do get in touch with me. And what we can do is we can arrange for someone to come out and see you. We can bring devices for people to try. We can do some online training, whatever it is that you need. We can provide that support for you.
Great, thanks for that, Alice. Really interesting. I've got a couple of questions, but I'm going to give everyone else a chance first. So in the chat, Francesca's asking, are there any plans for TD Browse and Phone to go on a TD Pilot?
Oh, it's a really great question. At the moment, Fran, no. Whether that's something that's going to be worked on in the future, potentially, but it's not on the roadmap for now.
Okay, so if anyone else has any questions, if you fire them into the chat, or if you'd rather use your voice to ask the question, just put your hand up and I'll invite you to turn your mic on. While you're thinking of that, one thing that occurred to me, Alice, was for the TD phone, does that work with apps like WhatsApp and Signal, or is it just for text messaging? Would you handle WhatsApp in a different way?
Yeah, it's a great question. So it works for text messaging and just your kind of phone receiving calls. If you're wanting to use WhatsApp or Messenger, or trying to think of the others, we do have accessible apps available in Communicator 5 that allow you to use those. So what we've basically done there is taken, let's say WhatsApp as the example, taken the app and we've made it accessible via eye gaze. So you're basically able to do the messaging and the phone calls and all of that in the same way that you would on a phone. So it's handled slightly differently, but what this does is allows you to access your actual kind of phone content, which is really interesting because I sent a text message the other day for the first time in months. I think I only ever use WhatsApp these days. But yeah, it's a great question, Phil.
Yeah, good point. And secondly, the Google Assistant tool, is that platform independent? Does that work in TD Snap on any platform, or does that have to be on Tobii hardware?
No, any platform.
Okay, it's good to know. Right, you must have answered everyone's questions without them asking, because we've got no more questions in the chat. We've got a bit of time if people want to ask anything further. And what's the best way for people to get in touch, Alice? Directly with you, or should they go central to Tobii? I
will put my email address in the chat. I normally have it on the slide, but I must have got rid of that slide. So let me just check and type in my right. There we go. There's my email address, and that's probably the best way to contact me. If not, yeah, you can call via the Tobii Dynavox office number, which is on our website. There's also under the Contact Me website or a section on our website, you could put your postcode in. It will give you the details of your local account manager. So yeah, there's a couple of ways that you could do it.
Fantastic. So Alice is alice.langley@tobiidynavox.com. And again, if you get stuck, just get in touch with us. But I'm sure you can find the Tobii Dynavox website and figure it out for yourselves. Okay, if there's no questions, I think it's enough then to say thanks very much, Alice. Brilliant to have you present 2 webinars for us. Really appreciate it. And I'm sure there'll be some people getting in touch with you, and hope to see you soon. Thanks everyone for attending, and don't forget to visit techability.org.uk to see those training courses coming up.